Good evening, mi gente. This is Ray Collazo, and welcome back to Bomba Live, the show you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for it for quite some time. This is our first show in 2025 here in the Palatial Virtual Studios here at Bomba Live. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Ray Collazo. What can I say? I thought it was very appropriate that we have the first episode of 2025, what I'm deeming kind of the Debi Tirar Mas Bomba Live season. In this historic week, of course, a lot going on. We're going to talk in a moment with our very special co-host and guest about how the Bad Bunny phenomenon has impacted, and this new album has just changed Puerto Ricans' lives. We're obsessed with it. It's all we're talking about. It's all we're humming. It's all we're doing on social media. It's all we're thinking about when we're thinking about our vacation this summer, trying to get concert tickets, trying to get pavas. It's changed our lives. And of course, this week in the Found Translation segment, my co-host will interview me about, a little something else that's happened this week. Of course, a new presidential term has begun, and I had some thoughts I wanted to share with people and catch up with our co-host, what she's got going on. She's got a lot going on with a wonderful organization, Love Shouldn't Hurt. My co-host, of course, the Philly Salsera herself, who's now in her glory. Salseros are now back in their glory. Christina Vega, what's going on, girl?
What's up? I'm laughing as you're talking because I spent most of the day, since I knew this is what we were talking about, humming the song and just going through the lyrics of the song all day. So yeah,
so many songs.
I am in my glory.
So many songs. Salseros are just, everybody's just so happy. Christina, yes. Of course, we'll talk about Love Shouldn't Hurt in a second. Of course, you still do some wonderful things. We have a very special announcement, I guess kind of a Bomba exclusive, about one of your upcoming activities that are very important to support. Of course, we collaborated off and on throughout the campaign season. I remember you actually weren't there, but shout out to our your wonderful group that was doing a recruitment drive or a donation drive for some of the families you helped with Love Shouldn't Hurt. Yeah. And in fact, I was able, just the way the schedule worked out, I was able to bring St. Louis City Councilwoman Daniela Velasquez to support. She's a very big champion for domestic violence survivors out in St. Louis. And in fact, this comes back full circle, Christina, because I don't know if you know, but she's the councilwoman that gave the St. Louis authorities the heads up that loca burned down those businesses, Cabrón. So our fam is involved in what's going on one way or another. Christina, what's happening? Let people know where you've been up to. I know people are missing you on social media, and wanted to make sure the Bomba Live community. Had been a while since we've had a formal show for a lot of personal, professional reasons. Yeah. Probably wondering what you're up to. So, Christina, let people know what's happening.
Well, we still are in the background doing our work. That's what we do. Even if we're not given the limelight and we're, not seen out there often, there is still a lot going on. We did have our very, very successful donation drive for Love Shouldn't Hurt. We just finished our Christmas drive. And we had 6 families that were adopted this year. And my elves, as I call them, did such a phenomenal job. And it was so great to deliver those gifts to those families and kind of see the happiness on their faces. And I won't say it now, but we do have something huge coming up this spring. And we've been doing a lot of the footwork. Myself, I've been taking a break on just dealing with my health and making sure that I'm 100% for not only Bomba Live, but for Love Shouldn't Hurt. So I took the summer off from doing a lot of activities after just a horrible accident, but I'm better and I'm feeling great. And we're just back out there with Love Shouldn't Hurt, doing what we do for all of our community.
Well, I speak for the Bomba Live community, Christina. We're happy you're still with us, frankly. I mean, people that don't know, she had a horrific car accident and your recovery has been pretty miraculous. Yeah. It just wasn't your time, my friend. And it's that's right. And it's been so we're very happy you're relatively healthy now and recovered pretty well, and still doing all the wonderful things you're doing, including raising your wonderful daughter, who's got a big year in front of her this year, of course. Yeah. And it's just been a crazy year for folks who don't know. We did a few shows after the fact, but my mom passed last March, and that in and of itself was a lot for me, a lot for the Bomba Life community, Christina. I was thinking about your mom the other day, Christina. Yeah. Because I forget where I was, but I think I was in the grocery store, and I was thinking about, when I think of your mom, I think about our moms at the checkout line at the Cousins at 11th and at 10th and that's when they used to talk. And so I think I was checking out, and I was like, this reminds me of when our moms used to talk. And so that took a lot out of me. And then, look, the people don't know, professionally, I'm in it up to here with the political stuff.
Yeah.
Being the political leader for a national Hispanic organization. So, and in Pennsylvania was obviously really a bit critical. So I had to put a lot of effort into that. And I had a lot of wonderful experiences, and you'll see some of this. We archived some of this stuff that we didn't get a chance to release, but we got to collaborate with Sonia Manzano from Sesame Street and Maria Isa, the bombera, rapera, turned a politician who's very close to the state rep up in Minnesota, and a lot of Frankie Negron hung out with us one weekend. a lot of popping. And
it was a lot going on during the election season. We got to see a lot of people.
It was crazy.
I was with AOC.
You were that goes without saying. That's right. You were hanging out with the big shots and
Rosario Dawson,
Rosario, Lin-Manuel hung out with us a little bit
one day. That's right.
I met
America Ferrera.
Well, you met America Ferrera. I met Kamala Harris's sister.
Me too.
I got to hang out. She was cool. Well, you got to hang out with everybody. I'm kind of like, second tier with some of these VIP invites. But it was, anyway, really Latinos in Pennsylvania, Puerto Ricans and Latinos were kind of in the center of it. And that was fun. And a lot of great experiences, which we'll talk about throughout the year. And now, and we'll go back to the politics in a second. But Christina, I wanted to kind of on a more positive note, I think. I wanted people to understand, because I can imagine. And the reason, one of the wonderful things about this Bad Bunny phenomenon is that I really confirmed my suspicion that that if we make this a little more centered on Puerto Ricanness, that people would respond to it. And this new project is ultimately an example of that. So I can imagine, and non-Puerto Ricans' reactions have just been incredible, and that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that, people, especially that aren't Puerto Rican, would be curious how we've reacted to this, because it's, the world has reacted, but this phenomenon, Christina, how Puerto Ricans have, what this album has meant to us in a very quickly, it's only been a couple of weeks, I think it's been out 15 days or something.
Yeah. No.
And it just changed everything. It just changed everything in terms of culture, identity, how the emotional attachment, family, memories, language, salsa. So, Christina, why don't we just start? And we just want to give people a breakdown of just, Puerto Ricans that are just love our culture and have been experiencing this in the community the last few weeks. Christina, so let's start from the beginning. January 5th, Debi Tirar Mas Fotos comes out. Your reaction and your crew's reaction in those first hours, because it was immediate.
It
By
was.
Three Kings, it was a thing with us. 100%.
It was. You know what? I think that our reaction to it was obviously similar to everyone else's, right? Everyone in my circle's reaction was kind of the same as everyone else's. We all were like, oh my God, let me hear it from start to finish. Oh my God, wait, I hear some salsa in there. And oh my God, I remember this. I think there were so many things that stood out to me, right? So it came out January 5th, but oddly enough, my 17-year-old is really the one who got me kind of on the bandwagon, right? Because I've always liked Bad Bunny. It's always been like kind of like a reggaeton vibe. But my daughter, actually, the very next day, I was doing her hair. She wanted me to curl her hair. And she's like, Mom, have you heard all of the new Bad Bunny? And I'm like, no, I haven't heard all of them yet. And she's like, have you seen the short film? And I'm like, no. And we literally sat there together. We watched the short film. And I think that's important to note because that short film is very powerful. But we sat and we watched the short film and both of us had tears in our eyes. And after we watched the short film, it kind of gave us a higher and a more deeper appreciation for the entire album because it kind of like set the tone of what the album was like. And it made me kind of just listen to the lyrics of each song. And even just the one that we're focusing on, like the name of the show is Debi Tirar Mas Fotos, right? That brought so much to the table for so many Hispanics, right? If you listen to the song and you listen to kind of like the context of the background of the song, we're talking about missing loved ones. We're talking about losing loved ones who are like our grandparents, those people who were born on the island, who taught us so many things, right? Debi Tirar Mas Fotos. Everybody knows me and knows that I love taking pictures. I am like a historian in everybody's circle, right? Because I take pictures of everything. But that song in itself had everyone on my timeline, in my circle, on the phone with me through text, like, yo, have you heard this song? Have you listened to it? And it brought back just a sense of exactly what I believe he was trying to do. Brought back the sense of Puerto Rico. Like, we're in Philly and we're Puerto Ricans and we appreciate it and we aspire to be the best Puerto Ricans and we're proud of our cultura, and like the Puerto Rican parade, we want to show ourselves. But it was like, this is our signal to the world that we matter so much more. Like, Puerto Ricans matter so much more, and our history is important. And those people who have gone before us, like my grandmother, God bless her, and all those other old school Puerto Ricans have left us with so many great memories of the island, of being Puerto Rican. That's where a lot of our like identity has come from, Bella. Like my grandmother teaching me my culture, teaching me how to cook, teaching me how to speak Spanish, because I'm third generation. My grandmother was born in Puerto Rico. My mother was born in Puerto Rico, but I was born in Philly. Like, so my identity of being Puerto Rican came from them. But like learning the culture from them, learning their food, learning everything, and like going to Puerto Rico and seeing the differences. My mother's from Juana Diaz, right? And a lot of her family is in Fajardo, and I have another aunt in Humacao. But then I have my grandmother's side, which is Guayama, which is Campo, right? Which is where I learned from her, you know, when I would complain about walking to school, pues yo andaba milla, sin zapato, like in the dirt.
I remember the early 80s. I remember going to great-grandmother's house at Cantepas. You know, she passed when I was little, but I remember her. And I remember she had an outhouse.
Yeah.
And they didn't have telephone. They didn't have telephones up there yet. Like it was, they were building they were the last Campo hills to get them. You know, you hit on something, Christina. And I think that's why the reaction's just been insane. Because what I try to explain to people is that it's not that Puerto Ricans are listening to this album. It's that they're absorbing this album. It's like, I don't feel, if I haven't listened to a song within 20, 30 minutes, I feel like something's wrong. Because I need to be analyzing like every single thing, because it's become a part of us so quickly. And I think you've hit on so many of the themes. I mean, in terms of the identity, the reaction from people, like, you know, you and I keep it real is, I think, more than most, you know, especially since we don't live on the island, stuff like that. But it's been so wonderful to see the reaction of people that are like, I never really felt the same connection because of my Spanish, or I didn't feel the same connection because my mom died, or I didn't feel the same connection because of this or that, or I didn't grow up anywhere where people thought Puerto Ricans were cool. And it's like, and how this has given people such a license to explore, to be included, to be seen, to feel fully Puerto Rican, you know, and like it just, and then the real personal part of it. God, he hit on so many levels. We didn't get into the political part of it, but that album cover, and everyone has it's so fascinating because everyone has an entry point that gets them in.
Yeah.
So some people, it's like the more, I don't want to say superficial, but cultural. They're Salseros and fuck, you know, or they're older Puerto Ricans. And it's like, damn, this is the new generation acknowledging me and my music and my vibe. That's wonderful, right? And then, you know, some of it's like the memory, the memorias of the fam, and Debi Tirar Mas Fotos, and, you know, and again, it being, you know, right after my mom passed.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mom, nobody took more pictures of my mom.
Yeah.
And the biggest lesson my mom gave me in organizing was the importance of taking these pictures, because you could show people what you did, and then it conjures up. And, you know, Bad Bunny said this in one of these interviews so beautifully. It lives long after you. And that the picture, especially back in the days when it was like finite, you know, it wasn't like you could take 1 million on your phone. Is that those pictures meant something. And then, I mean, Puerto Ricans would sit around and dump a box of pictures, just sit around looking at them and talking shit about them. I mean, that's like core. And we did that. I had done that in years, and we did that after my mom passed and my DT came. And mom had pictures, because my mom was one of the older of a big family from Puerto Rico, and she would be the older one that would come back and forth. And, you know, the younger ones born and raised there. So my mom had pictures of bautismos and quinceañeras and weddings that those little cousins of mine or those aunts didn't have, because they were the ones she took. So it was like opening up memories for them that they never knew they had. You know,
I think
so
that happens with all of it.
It's hit on so many. The levels that he's hitting us at is what just makes it incredible to me.
And it's bringing all different ages together. Younger, older, everyone. It's bringing everyone together. And you touched on some important things too. When my grandmother died, she died in 2020. And she had several photo albums in her home. And in those photo albums were things that I've never experienced. You know, I know what our graveyards look like and our grave sites look like in Philadelphia, right? Because that's where I've grown up. This is what I've seen. But looking back, you know, God rest his soul, I have my dad's oldest brother was a police officer in Puerto Rico, and he was killed before I was even born. So looking at pictures of him, looking at him at our great grandmother's gravesite, and I'm like, what is that? And they're like, oh, that's his gravesite. And I'm like, that's what it looks like in Puerto Rico. Like looking at old pictures, and it brought so many people together. And it was the same thing when grandma died. These photos are what we had, seeing her young with her red hair, and like, damn, that's what grandma looked like. Like, it is such a big part of our culture and learning who we are just with these photos, you know, which makes me have a great appreciation for me always wanting to take photos. You know, some people call it vanity. Oh, you want to take pictures of this? And no, I want to have these memories so that when I'm gone, my daughter can remember these times. When 100%. She's gone, her kids can remember. One of the biggest
gifts my mom left me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't think enough people understand that.
It's so funny you say that, because I haven't talked about it on here, is that, mom passed, I'm going through all the pictures. I'm going through all her stuff, and the pictures are a big part of that. And there was a set of a lot of them were kind of like pictures I remember, or at least I remember those occasions, going on that vacation, doing this, like that Bautismo, like, but having not looked at them and reviewed them forever. Yeah. But there was a set of pictures before she was married, and before she was, when she was a regular young 20-something person. Yeah. Yep. And she used to go to Wildwood. I never knew my mom went to Wildwood. And she was hip, and had a lot of pictures with musicians. I'm not saying she was a groupie, but you know what I mean? Like, she had a life, you know what I mean? She had fun and enjoyed herself and had friends. And it was just, I wouldn't have appreciated, and I want to learn, I want to learn more about that part of my mom's life, if that makes sense, just because I didn't know about it. Yeah. And then my family, when they came for their interpretation of pictures, they give you, it conjured up stories for them in history I didn't know, that I couldn't have gotten just from my mom. My mom never told me, or just never came up, or their perspective, because they were the younger siblings and how they related to my mom's life and everything. So it's just been a wonderful thing. Christina, the reaction from, Puerto Ricans, we really get crazed. We do. And, can you talk about the maniatica of this whole situation? Because it's just been an obsession. It's just from the music to people wanting to dance salsa now, to buying pavas, to all the social media. Every social media post, you have to have a Bad Bunny song on it.
Oh,
you have to talk about your fam. Yeah, this is just
exactly what I've seen from the moment it's come out to even today. My entire TikTok timeline. Oh, yeah. Are people with Debi Tirar Mas Fotos and pictures of elderly people who have passed away. 100%. Or Salseros, all the Salseros.
Forget it.
Phenomenon.
Every
other video of them dancing salsa, that's the song that's in the background. Baile Inolvidable. 100%. Like, we are like using it as our theme song for everything. And talk about phenomenon. People that I know have already purchased tickets and paid like $4,000 just to be at one of those shows.
Well, I was going to talk to you about that, because your squad is about vacationing and partying and all that. So I would imagine, I saw some of them like, I put my name in, or I got the package. I think our homegirl
I'm like $4,000.
There's some vacation people, like people that have those vacation
they were doing like tickets
stuff
with hotel. They were doing tickets that were together with hotel to get people to come. He sold out.
Oh yeah, he sold out like 400,000 tickets in 4 hours. Yes. The first 9 of 30 shows is only for island residents, and they were very reasonably priced. And 400,000 tickets, and that doesn't count the Puerto Ricans and everyone all over the world are going to go. The other 21 shows, and 400,000 people sold out in 4 hours to go to Puerto Rico. It's not Vegas. I mean, obviously it's a vacation area, but it's not Vegas. It's not New York. It's not Miami. And there's people from all over the world. It is the 5, I looked it up this morning, the 5 of the top 10 songs in the world are on that album. Not Latin America, not the United States, not Puerto Rico, the world. And what's so fascinating about that is that each of those 5 songs is a different genre of Puerto Rican music. Yeah. So it's like a salsa, a dembow. So everything. The depth, it really shows the depth of our culture. That it's not just like, he did a salsa retro album. No, he did something that broke it all down. And the craziness, this means a lot to Salseros, Christina. I mean, y'all feel seen again in a way that, like, I'm serious. Like, salsa's in the forefront now. They're two, and it's only 2 songs, but they're 2 smacking songs. And it's interesting because the album just came out. And there was a video for Baile Inolvidable, but within a day or two, it was clear that was the song that we were connecting to.
Yeah.
What? So tell us about that from the salsa experience. Why is that song hit us so much?
You know why? Because let me tell you, this is what I do. So when I am dancing salsa, if you watch me, anybody that knows me, if you watch me, I'm always singing the music. I always sing it because to be a true salsera, and this is not a diss, and we've talked about this before on previous shows when we talked about me. There are people who learn how to dance salsa, and I have no disrespect for them because I love that you want to learn and you want to finite your skills. But people who, myself, who've never taken lessons, but it's been embedded in me from like my dad riding his car,
learning
what are you
gonna do about it?
Sometimes it's just like it's just in your blood, right? But people like myself, we feel the music. That's what people tell me. Like, how do you get into salsa? Why do you dance so well? Because I feel it. Salsa is a part of me. Is it a part of my movements? When I hear certain music, certain songs, they bring back certain memories. They bring back certain times in my life. That song in itself, Baile Inolvidable, if you listen to the lyrics, that song in itself can take you somewhere. Like as you're on that dance floor dancing to it, not only one, the beat is very trending, right? The beat just takes you, but also you can resonate with the words because if you listen to the words, I mean, he's talking about the same thing as the other song, like just memories of someone who's no longer here. And this song, you know, just talks about, you know, my unforgettable dance was with you. And I only wanted to make this memory with you. And when I dance, I think of you, like it resonates with you. And someone like me on the dance floor, I'm already singing songs. And when I'm singing the songs and I'm dancing to them, right, I'm thinking of love songs like Creo en el amor, right? I'm on the dance floor singing word for word. And I'm like, yes, because I have memories. Now we have this song that's talking about memories and resonating with me. I won't think about a relationship when I'm on dance floor, but that song will now take me to thinking of my grandmother, thinking of times being with her. Like, you know, you're no longer here. And this, I went towards
a lot of times our family members taught us how to dance. The grandma,
my father's who's taught me.
So it's not just about those romantic situations. Yeah.
Right. And that's why for me, it wouldn't be romantic. Thinking back on this song, I would think of my grandmother because towards the end of her decline, she had dementia. I literally was with her every single day after work and I would bathe her and I would talk to her and I would laugh with her, but I would also dance with her and I would sing with her and I would pick her up and move with her. So that song in itself, for me, a salsera who loves to be on the dance floor, that's how it's going to resonate with me because the words, and I tell people all the time who are like, oh, I love salsa, I just don't understand the wording. And I'm like, it's such a different feeling when you understand the words. When you understand what they're saying in the song, it's even more impactful for you because when you're dancing, you feel it more. Salsa is about feeling. You can't just learn that feeling. Like it's in you, you feel it. And during my time, I think that song hit me so much that that's all I'm going to think about. And it's just, I think Bad Bunny knew what he was doing. You know, like, and I don't even think that it was a ploy. It wasn't a ploy to get attention.
No, that comes from your heart.
He wanted to bring back exactly what you said. Bring Puerto Rico back to Puerto Rico. Like I said in the other track, I mean, the other question you asked me, if you watch the short film that's attached to all of this, where they're talking about the man going to the panaderia and how Americanized. Yeah, like. He knew what he was doing, and it was important that he did it, especially during the time that we're in right now.
Well, and the detail, I mean, for him to incorporate the sapo concho, the frog, which you know everyone thought that was the coquille. It's not a coquille; it's a different type of amphibian thing that's in danger of extinction. It speaks to issues of gentrification, and you know that's not caring about the playa and you know all those themes that we're dealing with on a lot of levels. In Puerto Rico, the English translation of one of the lines in Baile Inolvidable is life is a party that one day ends and you are my unforgettable dance. Christina, come on, this is poetry in motion here.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, he broke it down. Anything else on the guys? It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. The social media has been fun.
Yeah. Seeing people's photos and videos have been really beautiful too. Like living through their memories through these songs.
I like when people do the I'm sitting with my papi to have him listen to this album. Like the old
I like it and their reaction.
Yeah, and their reactions. Oh yeah, Nueva York, like Julie, the one that gets them popping.
Yeah, because they don't expect it to switch up.
They're like, oh, that's cool. And then, like you said, the intergenerational. I mean, this guy has a global hit of an aguinaldo bean, all that planeros. I mean, that's not even salsa. That's like real traditional Puerto Rican music. You know, that people say, oh, they say that Jibaro and that's heck stuff. It's like he's bringing it to the mainstream. I don't even know how the rest of the industry survive. Like, if you're one of these other artists, this brother is
struggling right now. Yeah. Yeah.
So do this. The
Absolutely.
question's going to be back to the salsa thing. The question's going to be, does this open up the door for more of the reggaetoneros to do salsa, or will
I'm sure.
the salsa people get more shine, or both? Maybe
I
both.
think both. I think both. I think it's gonna.
I hope so.
think it. You know what? I think it opens the door for more than just that too. Because honestly, I think this was him showing. I think this was him showing the world, like, we're more than just whatever your typical beliefs are of us. Like, I'm going to show you we are a lot more than that. Like, Puerto Ricans are so much more. And, again, I think all of that is very, it was done very, what's the word I'm looking for? Intentional. It was very,
and I think that there's a lot of house influence in this album too, which is more the New Yorican stuff.
Yeah.
And because I know some people have been online like, oh, he needs to do freestyle next, or like, because they're, and I think you're right. I think he's given a roadmap to a lot of different genres, because synthesized in the middle of the Plena song. That Plena, I'm like, that could be like that House 2.0 is popping if you digitize it. So there's ways that they can. That we can take this, can go in a lot of, like, artistically, this can go in a lot of interesting directions. Obviously, the political stuff, and Puerto Rico is really kind of in a, talk about two polar opposites. You've got Bad Bunny, who's like the face or the voice of this new progressive movement on the island, which did really well in the elections, didn't win as many things, but I mean, historical, and then but the people running the island are Trump Republicans. So it's like, which have a strong base of support on the island. So it's going to be, the island is going through a lot of different currents of conversation. We're going to take a quick break. We come back, Christina. Speaking of the political stuff, we're actually taping this moments after Trump got inaugurated, and I know you've got some questions for me as it relates to what does this mean for our community. So thank you all for checking out Bomba Live in 2025. We haven't gone anywhere, and we've heard it loud and clear. Familia, Debi Tirar Mas Bomba Live. We're going to give it to you. We're going to hear some classic Bomba Live clips and come back with Christina Vega here on Bomba Live, the show you've been waiting for.
My bad. She messed my hide up, right? Because I was high on marijuana. So I was like, she just messed my hide up. And I just felt that every word that came out of her mouth, she was directing it at me. So when she was done, I asked her, like, yo, what can I do? I'm doing life. I'm from New York, and she said, you could be my source, which I didn't even understand what source meant at the time. But then she said, you could be the voice for the voiceless. And that's what clicked.
Maria,
that's what got me interested. And that's what ultimately made me change my way of thinking in my life.
Wow. Welcome back to Bomba Live, the show you've been waiting for. That clip, particularly for people that are listening to the audio version, is Luis Suave Gonzalez. Luis is one of our Philly homeboys, a brother we have a lot of love for. Did over 30 years in prison as a juvenile offender. And by the grace of God, was able to get out and parlayed his incredible personal story and message into a Pulitzer Prize winning podcast. And Suave has done incredible work. Suave is getting on his fitness. I see him online. He's getting flaquito on me. So we got to get Suave on the show. He's always got a lot going on and always been a big supporter of the Bomba Live crew. So Christina, I know you've got on this Found a Translation segment, you've got some questions for me. Where, like I said, we're recording this hours after the second Trump term began. So I know there's a lot of people, some people excited, but another set of people that are very confused, and another group that are frightened about what's happening here. So talk to me about what people are thinking about here.
Yeah, well, only Bad Bunny can surpass those other big headlines with Donald
Trump.
That's
exactly right. That's literally That's literally it. You're right about that.
Yeah, lots of uncertainty now for our future. Ray, as one of our leading national Latino leaders, how are you feeling now that Trump is president again?
It's really sad. And I would say that, I think, and part of the thing that's frustrating for me as it relates to some of these, particularly voters of color, especially on the younger side, that just don't have the reference point about the fire they're playing with here, is that you can have moments in history where you can go really backwards. So thinking about American history, we had the Civil War. Well, we had slavery for a whole long time. Then we had the Civil War. Then we had this period, which we don't talk about a lot in our country's history, frankly, called Reconstruction. It was a brief period where, because Black people were citizens in that full way, or fairly full way, that they got a relatively amount of political and economic power in kind of a relatively more even system. Obviously, white folks took a huge backlash of that, and that's what began the, shortly thereafter, that's what began the Jim Crow era, which basically lasted like 80 years until the Civil Rights Movement in the 60s. So, and now we're in a period where some of the softening of the resistance to Trump from people of color, from the Snoops, and kind of this, certain voices in minority communities is kind of like, I think, to be very honest with you, are very complacent in how thinking about how their rights can be taken away. They're thinking, well, maybe a few more undocumented people that I would like get taken away, or and maybe there'll be some rough treatment on some people committing crime, but it won't affect me. It won't affect me. And first of all, I think we really have to challenge that assertion. Just because you don't think it's going to affect you personally doesn't mean it's good, and that's a very individualistic mentality. I guess you have your right to do that, of course, right? And the other thing is that I think your people are making big assumptions about what could or could not happen. He just released, as we were, I haven't seen the exact list, but basically most of the January 6th insurrectionists who are put in jail are going to get released.
Yep.
And so, I would ask people, regardless of what you feel about what happened there, and I think it's pretty simple. They tried to take over our country, and some cops got killed and beat up, and I think they should be treated the way they were treated by the justice system. But if you were just released from prison for trying to start an insurrection and being violent by the person that's going to be in office for the next 4 years, what stops you from doing anything? So if you want to kill a Latina activist, or you want to harass, or you want to sexually abuse an undocumented woman, or you want to, if you want to, because hey, he got my back. So we've just these are setting so many bad precedents. And look, the bottom line, family, he ain't gonna do shit for you. So you could, unless you're very upper class, and there's a few people that are watching this that may be in those tax brackets where, and I'll be honest with you, it's few that would benefit because of their business and because of their income, might benefit a little bit from what he's going to do, a little less regular. Okay, but that's very few of you.
Very few. And
the reality is, what's the price we're gonna get paid? And I feel really sorry for the people that, believe that somehow he's come from God, because there's nothing godly about this guy. And the people that honestly believe he's going to help them as working people. And, the people that were behind him before, I think it's very instructive that the people that sat down right behind him today were not his cabinet, not his vice president, were the richest billionaires in the world that control all the media.
Absolutely.
So if that's, who you sit right behind you, see, I sit my family behind me. Christina would sit her family behind him. Who he sat behind him was the bosses, which is the billionaire, the ultra rich that control the media. What's making it so confusing. Christina, I know this is especially for advocates of women's rights and women's autonomy. This is a very scary time.
It is a super scary time. And I think for one of the points that you said, and many other points that I'm sure we're all thinking about, I think during this time, the biggest issues we're worrying about is one, just that. If people who have committed crimes and he believes that they should be released and not receive the same punitive actions as, say, one of us would be, that's scary for me. It's scary to think that people who make the most money or people who he believes are on his side could be released and could do things like that. They could do things like raping women. And just look at everything that went on in the media for so long with those people who were at those parties where people were secret parties, right? Where people were being raped and women were being taken care of. It's scary to know that all of these things can happen and they not receive the repercussions or the same things that someone like me or you would get, right? It's also super scary exactly for what you said. There's so many issues that we're worried about, especially within my circle and just everyone who has these conversations, right? I have a Latina power circle with pretty much all of the women who are leaders within our city, who hold very high, positions within our city. And all of us during election time had lots of powwows. We had a lot of crying sessions, a lot of frustrations, a lot of things that we're fearful of. And even just that, knowing that Elon Musk was sitting behind him, Mark Zuckerberg, he runs Facebook, knowing that these people who run Twitter and Facebook and social media, knowing that TikTok was removed after he was originally the person to put the ban in, and now it's back and they're thanking him, is scary, because that means that a lot of the genre that we're going to see on there is going to be favorable to him, going to be favorable to the Republicans.
Well, did you see that people were just, before you start taping, not to cut you off, is that people were saying that Facebook was automatically adding Trump and Zuckerberg as following them. And it's like, I didn't ask to follow them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this mind control, this information control, well, it's already been happening, but it's really
been, but I think it's on a higher degree now, right?
Because now there's no controls, there's no regulation,
none whatsoever. I mean, they were speaking about him letting go of what was it last week about free speech? What was it that they spoke about? Oh, I forgot what the article was, but it's like,
well, I mean, the fact checking in Facebook.
The fact checking.
So now you'll be able to say whatever you want.
So now you can say whatever the hell you want, which to me feels like that's already what he's been doing. But now everybody backs you on it. There's no fact checks. I think that now it's everybody can say what they want.
Yeah.
But when regular people like myself or other Democrats like AOC and different people were speaking, it was like, no. She can't say that. We need to fact check what she was saying. It's wrong. They're garbage. And like Fox News, they give off false information. Now none of that matters. Now you're the president and we're no longer going to fact check because we think it's important for people to just say how they feel. That means that you're going to want us to say what you want us to feel. And our TikTok, everybody's excited it's back. Should you be that excited? Because now that they're saying that he's to thank, which that's crap, but he's to thank for it. Now you have to watch your content because they'll be the ones who are watching it. They'll be the ones 100%. Making sure that our content has to do with whatever 100%. It is that they believe and Republicans believe. It's scary.
I want to, because some of this by the time people see this, some of this may be beginning. There's I would imagine this week, if not tomorrow, mass deportations. Now, look, what's going to definitely happen over the next few weeks is there's going to be real showy signs of deporting people. And he's going to do it, as I've been saying, he's going to do it in the blue areas.
He's going to do it quick, too.
He's going to do it in the blue areas in Chicago. There's talking about New York, Chicago, Boston, a few other places. And it's going to be about show. So showing people ripping them out of a business, ripping them out of their house.
Absolutely.
And, and showing a guy who has a couple tattoos and making him look like the gangbanger and stuff. And look, the bottom line is that, none of that makes you safer in reality because it's not targeted. It's just random people you're getting for numbers. And it's like the patrol guy having to write tickets at the end of the month to get the quota. Is it really getting you safer? It's about a goal to show. But that, and it's really about terrorizing disenfranchised Latinos. And I'm saying those words very specifically because, and again, a lot of Puerto Ricans watch this say that don't bother me because, my kids are citizens or they don't look like that or
we're from Puerto Rico.
They Puerto Rican, we beyond that. I don't got an accent.
We're legal.
And God bless you. But the first of all, that shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because people that are vulnerable populations and don't have as much as us are not to be picked on. That's actually the whole purpose of. And I go back to a fan because y'all keep throwing religion in our face about this abortion thing. And by the way, they don't care if any of y'all. So when your daughters have to go to prison because they had a medical situation, I hope you go see them and take care of their kid. You do all that, okay? Yep. I'm actually trying to avoid that for your family. But the whole story of Jesus was he was in a asylum-seeking family and they shunned them because they were from a minority group. I don't understand. They put them in a barn. So I don't understand y'all religious people. Nobody grew up more Catholic than me and Christina, fam. And we can disagree on, Puerto Rican Catholic de la Juro, right? So, but it's like, I just don't understand the disconnect between discrimination and what you think is religion. And so I really would ask y'all to really think about that. And the bottom line is, put that aside. What does deporting a bunch of random Latinos in Chicago, how does that help your economy, fam? How does it help you get a better job?
Absolutely. And I think
how does that raise your minimum wage? Which they said we ain't doing that. Their Treasury Secretary.
There's a lot of things that they said that they were going to do that they've already backed out of. Like, I'm going to lower the cost of groceries. I'm going to do this. And he already has stated it's going to be really difficult to do that because you can't.
No. And buy my crypto coin and I'm gonna pump and dump it. So you're gonna spend $5, and I'm gonna make $250 when I sell out. When I sell all of my shares, and he's just gonna keep making money off y'all. Well, he's got the billionaires that back him up.
Yeah. And you know what? I think as Latinos, we shouldn't think on the mindset of I'm Puerto Rican, I'm legal, it's not affecting me. Because whether we believe it or not, it does affect us in a lot of different ways. 100%. I am an educator. I've been an educator for 23 years. And I was in a school last year where 2 of my students were just sobbing and sobbing. And I was like, what is going on? And I spoke to administration. And guess what? They're Mexican Americans and their parents were deported. And they were sobbing, and I had to sit down and have conversations with them. 100%. And that is not the first time. So yeah, it may not physically be anything that Chrissy's going through, right? Chrissy's not being deported, and my mom's not, and my grandmother would have never been, and my father's not, right? Because we're legal. But it doesn't mean that we don't. Like, we interact with these people, and we're all Latino. I think we need to do a better job at just saying, you know what, we're all Latinos and should be supporting one another.
Need to get a grip. A lot of y'all got Dominican papi chulos on the side, or a Colombian mama that's your joint, and you're not married, and y'all need to stop. Or a neighbor, or a cousin, or an in-law, or and you think, because they work hard, they ain't gonna give a fuck. Those people in Chicago, they're just gonna go and take over a whole caserío. They're just going to take them. And inevitably some American citizen will get caught up in it. They'll get stuck in it. You're going to see the story, and it's going to be inconvenience. Again, maybe eventually they'll come back and they'll let them back in, but it's going to be like, it's just discrimination, fam. And that's not going to make, and by the way, you get rid of undocumented workers. Good luck with how much your lettuce is going to cost, fam. Good luck with that.
But even in such, just looking at that, if you have any empathy and you have any such heart, thinking of, let's go back to when the deportations first happened. Looking at the news, I had to turn it off. It was hard to watch. Seeing the kids inside of these cages, because that's what they look like, cages, being separated on the news. They show them when they were separated. And
but we Christians, though. We Christians.
Exactly.
Because we against trans people, because that's what God is about. God was about trans people. He
said it today. There's only 2 sexes, male and female. He doesn't want to talk about anything
Never
else.
Heard of him.
And none of this resonates with someone who is religious, because God accepted us all. God loved us whichever way we were. He didn't care if we were legal or not legal.
That's all God was about.
It's just
God
none of it
about
makes
love
sense.
and unity and everybody together, and you figure it out. Now there are issues, of course. We get to debate some of this stuff, but to think that those social issues are going to help your pocket, like there's no connect there. And then on the economic stuff, it's fam. Just look it up. Don't take it. The 2017 tax cut. That's all he did in Congress. 80% of the money went to the top. Now you might say, "Oh, I got $72 in my tax return extra." Okay, fine. But that's not going to help. That didn't help increase your wages. That didn't help your kids' education is not getting any cheaper. So what are the things that are really going to impact your economic life? Mm-hmm. And he don't care about none of that stuff. And look, are there things he's going to do that maybe in theory make sense to some people? Because you could debate some of the trade stuff, and there's things. But to say he's doing it for you, come on, fam. Come on.
He has a very
so we need to. I think that we have to live our lyrics as people of faith and people that care about other people, and really focus on the most vulnerable. Because I wouldn't say I'm the most vulnerable, but I'm not. Somewhere along that spectrum. But in terms of the undocumented fit, make sure that they have the resources. We'll talk more about it in the coming weeks. How they can protect themselves, legal services. On some level, we all should be, I hate to put it this way, but on some level, we all just need to be more prepared, because everything's on the table. I could become a political prisoner because I might say somebody they don't like, and they put me in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. That could happen. And y'all laugh, but it could happen. Yeah. And so we all need to have our documents together. Mm-hmm. Thinking about our family, the LA fires. Oh my God, I feel so bad for those people. Much love and respect to them. And we're with you guys always, so this has to be an error, unfortunately, where we have to protect ourselves more, be there for each other, and just be prepared for anything, because everything's on the table right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Christina, let's talk about some happy stuff. Let's talk about the great things you're doing at Love Shouldn't Hurt. And you have a very special announcement about some things coming up down the pike in the spring.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, we had a very successful donation drive And I don't think people realize the impact of those donations. I think people are like going through their closets and they drop it off to you. But during the holiday season, we realized how much of an impact that was. Our donation locker right now is so packed that we have to get a bigger size. Because we can't even house all of the donations that we receive, not only from the donation drive, but just people continuously hitting us up and saying, hey, I have clothing, I have shoes. Someone even delivered to me 6 bags filled to the top of hygiene products. You have no idea how much that helps. So that's been something that's been major for not even just the donation drive, but since then till now, even today, people dropping off bags, and they don't drop off like 1 bag. It's like 15 bags, 10 bags of clothing. And essentially that's been super helpful because our victims oftentimes leave in the middle of the night with just whatever's on their back. So we give them the opportunity to literally clothe their kids and give them diapers, give them formula. If they're starting over and we've relocated them, we have furniture there. We have housewares. We have everything you can think of, vacuum cleaners, like everything that to you may seem like, oh, I don't use this anymore, let me get rid of it. It's such an honorable gift for the person that's receiving it. So that's major. And we've been super excited about that. Our Love Gala is set to happen this spring. We have so many people who continuously keep asking us, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? So we're excited that the community, is super invested in what we do and is excited for it to come. So it's happening this spring. We have already 6 very huge sponsors that we are super excited for, and we're still looking for sponsors. So if anyone is interested in, being a part of this night, it's a super exciting night for us because we get to honor those victims who have now become survivors, but we also remember and honor all of those that we have lost. And this year it's extra special for us. And for myself and a lot of the people that I worked with in the past 7 years when I did work at Aspida, we are honoring Andrea Glaze this year. I get choked up. Who unfortunately, at the height of 2024, lost her life at the hands of domestic violence. So this year we are going to dedicate the gala in her honor. She was beautiful. So she is who we're honoring this year. We make it a point to honor someone every year. And of course, Linda Rios is at the hand of all of our honors for everything that we do, whether it's our gala, anything that we do, she is at the heart of it because, it's dedicated to her. So if people need more information about anything that we do and the gala that's coming up or anything, because we are working on another women's conference this year and working on our 5K runs, you can go to our website, www.loveshouldn'thurtphilly.org. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And if you're interested in becoming a part of our mission, our team, we are always gladly accepting folks who just want to be a part of that with us.
Well, that's fantastic, Christina. We support you here, Bomba Live, 100%.
Always.
And, we just, we feel guilty pulling you away from the Love Shouldn't Hurt work to be a part of Bomba Live, but you're a big part of the family. And
you're my family.
I expect you to be a bigger part of the show here in the coming year. Definitely check out loveshouldn'thurtphilly.org. Support Christina, all her endeavors. And for all y'all political folks, let's keep the conversation going. Let us know what you think about what does Debi Tirar Mas Fotos album has meant to you. I want to keep that conversation going with our Bomba Live community because it hasn't stopped. This phenomenon is going in a lot of interesting directions. Mm-hmm. You're going to see in a few days a conversation with Angeli Mejia Rabel about her being at La Sanse this past weekend and kind of how that album has impacted kind of the vibe there at one of our seminal festivals and cultural celebrations. I want to keep talking about you and your girlies getting ready to go to these concerts in the fall. I know my wife, everybody's like trying to cop a couple tickets. I think that's going to be a lot. I think a lot of us going to end up on the island at some point during that. I was thinking about it, Christina. We should do, even if we don't go to the concerts, we should do something with Bomba Live during them.
We should. That would be awesome.
Like just being there. You don't have to go to the show.
I already have tickets to be in Puerto Rico August 28th to September 5th. So
nice. Wow.
This was even before he released it. So I'm like, I'll be there when all the hype is going on.
Oh, the vibe. Yeah, just to be in the vibe will be cool. Wow. Maybe it's meant to be. I think we have to figure that out. And then look, and then on the political stuff, let's keep the conversation going. So
absolutely.
If you think an executive order, to make it harder for people to apply to the country legally, helps your economy, just feel free to bring the argument up there. We'll have the discussion.
We would love to have the discussion.
So anyway, because we're about God here on Bomba Live, Christina, God bless you. Dios lo bendiga. Have a wonderful week, and thank you all for being part of Bomba Live. Debi Tirar Mas Bomba Live in 2025.